Welcome back to Orlando Out of Context. I'm Brian.
And I'm Stephanie.
And today we have a special guest. We have Omar, and he is here repping Give Kids the World. Omar, what's your last name? Do you care to give your last name? Or
Yeah, I don't mind. It actually said David S. Pumpkin, Omar S. Pumpkins there. For the last time I was on my Zoom, it was Halloween. My last name is Elkalyoubie.
Elkalyoubie.
Oh wow, that's a mouthful. What kind of
what's the
nationality is that?
It's Egyptian.
Oh, okay.
Oh wow, nice.
So welcome. So we kind of connected with you because Dina mentioned that you worked with Give Kids the World. So is Give Kids the World something that you do full time, or is that something that you donate your time to?
So yeah, both. Before I worked here, I volunteered putting on special events, one of them being Hearts of Reality. And I did that for several years and kind of transformed that event into something new and exciting. We're about to actually do a special edition of that event in a couple of weeks. It's where we bring together reality stars from Survivor, Amazing Race, Big Brother, now NXT, WWE, and several other avenues to raise money for Give Kids the World. And then we do a fan event that obviously is very different this year than we typically do, but we'll be doing that at Margaritaville Orlando Resort on December 3rd through 5th. So that led me obviously here. And 3 years ago, there was a position that opened up in development for special events. And so I applied, and obviously now I work here, and I get paid to do what I love in a place that I love. And it doesn't feel like work, so it's great.
That's awesome. That's what you want for sure.
What are you doing with the company?
3 years. It was just past October, just last month.
Nice. So you initially started doing volunteer work there, and that's how you kind of got into it?
Yeah, I realized I loved it. I learned about it because I used to do kind of what you guys do. I worked with Behind the Thrills, and they had a blogger event here one night, and I came and I'd never heard of it. This was even before Hearts of Reality, and they let us know all the things that Give Kids the World does, and I obviously fell in love with it and wanted to do whatever I could do. So it was kind of a drive for me to do a lot of volunteering. So what I started doing was figuring out ways that I can fundraise for Give Kids the World, because you can do that from anywhere. And I did that for a while. Then Hearts of Reality came along, and then eventually the position opened up, and yeah, it's all history from there.
Nice. So it's always been kind of like, I always have these different people in my mind brewing that I want to talk to on the podcast. Give Kids the World has always been on the back burner of my mind. And then when Dina told us about the Christmas event, I was like, this might be the perfect time to like slide it in there. I went to Give Kids the World the first time, back in 2004. I did some volunteer work when I was on the Disney College program. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of like my introduction to Give Kids the World. I did like a volunteer opportunity, like when a parents' night out, we were like babysitting kids when the parents went out. So that was kind of cool. Can you give us a little history about the property and like how it, affects our community here and what all the things that it does for the kids? And
yeah. So even though we're a local charity, we are an international charity, really. We fulfill wishes from 76 countries. So children from all over the world that have one wish, and that's to come to Central Florida for whatever reason. As you can see behind me, Walt Disney World and SeaWorld are two of our biggest partners, Universal. So any wish that has to do with Central Florida, they get an entire week's vacation here at the resort for them and their entire family, and it's completely cost-free. And it's cost-free because of the money that we raise, and the supporters that we have that make it that way, and the volunteers that are here that serve food and run the rides and do all the things that the kids and the families enjoy so much. So the village has been here for around 36 years, since 1986. But the reason I said 36 years is because Henry Landworth, our founder, who's a Holocaust survivor, was a hotel owner, and he was getting a lot of requests for wishes from Walt Disney World and from the different parks that were in the area at that time. And so he would fulfill them. He would allow the families to stay in his hotels on the Space Coast. And actually, there's a resort right on 192 that he used to own and did the same thing. Um, a little girl who was in the process of getting her wish, unfortunately, she passed away before she got her wish fulfilled. And he wanted to know why. And it took a big process to get that wish fulfilled. So he vowed to never let that happen again and decided that he would start his own resort that would fulfill the wishes for all these kids. So Give Kids the World began with just one villa. And because you were here the other night, that now we're 166 villas over 35 years later. And we can have several families. And even if we have 166 families at the time, we never say no. So we actually work with resorts to make sure that the wish can be fulfilled, even if we're at capacity. So there are lots of great things that happen at the village, as you mentioned. There are different parties every night. We don't have that particular party anymore that you were talking about, but we have Christmas every week and Halloween, and we have a birthday party. We have a whole year that you can celebrate within just 1 week, because sadly, a lot of the families don't know if their child will make it to the next Christmas or the next Halloween. So we live life all in 1 week, and we make all the memories that we can make in that time. They get to go to Disney, they get to go to SeaWorld, really anywhere they want to go. If they want to go to Gatorland, if they want to go ride the wheel on iDrive, if they want to go karting or airboating, whatever it is, we have partnerships with all the resorts and all of the theme parks to pretty much be able to say yes to anything.
So when a family gets granted the wish, then do they have access to like a concierge or a planner to speak to like prior to their arrival? I'm guessing they'd have to. If they have access to all those things, they have to decide what they want to do, right?
Right. And the majority of the families that come here are typically lower income for whatever reason. A lot of times it's the medical bills, it's all kinds of things. So they really have never been on a vacation, maybe in some cases in their lifetime. Like some of the parents that had been here had never been on a plane before. Mm-hmm. So we do have a village we call village vacation planning, and we have a whole team, and that team consists of several people that split up the country and international among each other, and they get that agent that they can talk to and figure out what they want to do and plan, but also things that you don't always think about with kids that have these kinds of illnesses and conditions. There are lots of dietary needs and things like that. So we make sure we have all of those things here when they arrive, so they can just arrive and enjoy their time and not worry about any of that stuff, including any medical equipment. We order it ahead of time, and it's in their villa when they arrive if they need a wheelchair or a walker or any sort of assistive device for anything that they need while they're here.
So Stephanie mentioned that she donated her time while she was on the college program. What are ways that people can get involved if they want to volunteer their time to Give Kids a World? And what is the range of different volunteer positions that you guys have?
So thinking about right now, and because you guys just mentioned this, we have Night of a Million Lights. So all of our volunteer positions right now, because we don't have families here,
right,
are Night of a Million Lights based. So we have lots of positions in entertainment, characters, food prep, and crowd control, and several positions that will go all the way through January 3rd for Night of a Million Lights. And then eventually when we reemerge and we open again for Wishes, there is literally everything you can imagine. The ride operators, castle attendants, there are characters, obviously, and food preparation, not food preparation, that's staff, but food serving, shuttles that run.
Healthcare workers. Do you have healthcare workers that give their time?
We're not a medical facility, so we don't have any healthcare workers ever on property. It's kind of a week off for kids from medical things, but we do have a very strong relationship with the emergency medical workers. So we have a whole plan in place. If any of that is needed, they can get in very easily and get to help whatever family needs it. But we don't have medical medical staff, but a lot of times if families need a nurse or caretaker, they bring them along and they're part of the family for that week, and they take care of the child if they need it.
We also noticed as we were walking around the property, lots of little details. Like I saw, out in the garden area, like a little swing where people would normally sit on the swing, but one side of the swing allowed you to like push the wheelchair so that you can, have the wheelchair on the swing too. And it's, you don't really think about until I saw it, and I was like, oh, that's a nice detail.
Yeah. All of our, we have three rides if you don't include the swing, because the swing we don't really consider a ride, but we have three other rides: the carousel, Lori's Magical Flight, which is like Dumbo at Magic Kingdom, and then the Kelly Sunny Swing. And all of those are wheelchair accessible, and they were all donated by Zamperla, who builds ride attractions. And so they altered them all to be able to take a wheelchair. And even our train that runs around Amberville, typically when we're not doing lights, is also wheelchair accessible, so kids can enjoy that as well.
It was my first visit to Give Kids the World. Of course, I'd heard about it, from the moment I arrived in Orlando. I had heard about it, but had never been there. And I kind of got definitely opened my eyes a little bit to what it was, because I mentioned to Stephanie while we were there that if the child or something comes up and they're not maybe feeling well, they don't have to miss out on, if they have to skip a park or something, or they have to come back early. There's so much stuff to do at Give Kids the World that it really is an all-inclusive place to be. And I was really impressed by it, and just the size and how many villas there were, and really cool. And so now that kind of puts us into, people can go right now to Night of a Million Lights, which normally the property is not open to the public, correct?
That's correct. We typically have once a year, we have our 5K that takes place here in the village called Challenge for Hope. This year it was virtual, so we didn't have that. We weren't open to the public then. But yes, Night of a Million Lights is the first time in the Give Kids the World history, other than Challenge for Hope, that it's open to the public. And even with Challenge for Hope, you don't really have the opportunity to go into some of the venues that you can do and ride rides and do things and go to the pool that you can do with Night of a Million Lights. So it really kind of is a once in a lifetime experience while you're here. But supporting what you said too, a lot of what happens is, the families get their week here, and typically they'll do, oops, the light in here is blasting. They'll get there one day and they'll do a theme park, and the next day they decide they want to stay here because we have 2 swimming pools. We even have a wheelchair accessible swimming pool, and we have PVC wheelchairs that can go into the pool. We have a mini golf course, which you probably experienced, that was built by Universal, that's now decorated for the holidays. We have fishing, and we have horseback riding, and we have an arcade, and we have a movie theater that we show first run movies on a nightly basis from Universal and Disney. And then in addition to all the holiday parties, and we have a salon where you can get your nails done and your hair done, and we have an ice cream parlor that serves ice cream from 7:30 in the morning all the way up until 9 p.m. at night, and they can get whatever they want on it. And obviously the rides, and there's just so many things that make it more than a resort, and it's kind of like a cruise ship on land. You can really kind of do whatever you want to do.
That's what Stephanie said.
That's what I felt like. I was like, I want to move in here. It's nice. They have everything here. And the streets, they just look so quaint. Like when I don't know, maybe it's the lights that make it look even better. But it's just cute how they're, the little circle around the lake, and, all the little buildings that look so colorful for the kids. I'm sure as a child, that would be like an amazing thing to see. And just it's all yours for the week.
Yes, it's pretty fun. And it's great now walking around every night and seeing people enjoy it and looking at what they, just like what you mentioned, the things that you notice that we don't always think that, we think about when we're here. So it's great. Even though I've been working on the lights and seeing them for several weeks now, being here with people that I know and taking them around and seeing it through their eyes and their perspective of it, it's incredible. I mean, it's a mile-long walk. There's never been anything like it in Central Florida. and it does definitely fill that Osborne Lights void that's left behind.
Yeah, I think that that's really what makes it so eye-catching. I know we already did a TikTok on it. We posted it last night, and I think one of the comments was, "Oh, it reminds me of Osborne Lights," which definitely is the vibe, and that was a beloved attraction at Walt Disney World that's no longer there. So if you're looking to get your Osborne Lights fix, Night of a Million Lights is definitely the place to do it. So tell us a little bit about where the idea came from or when the idea originated, because we noticed how much detail went into all of it. Whatever you're thinking
it's a million times
it's
more.
a million times more, because we were really impressed.
We were really impressed. It was a beautiful event.
So tell us a little bit about the kind of the
execution,
the origin story and execution of the event.
So when we closed in March, obviously just like everything else with COVID, we weren't able to fulfill wishes the way that we did before, obviously. And so we were starting to think of ways that we could utilize the space, this amazing space, to do other things. And so in the process of that, we had talked about this kind of last year, and it was kind of like a pie in the sky idea. We were like, what if we did something like Osborne? And we just, it's just not possible when you have families here, and it would intrude on their time. So when we had this this time that we found, this newfound time, we decided we would we'd go with it. So back in late July, early August, when we were thinking of ways, we brought this idea back up again and started talking. Stephen Amos, who's our one of our development directors, I'm a development manager, he started moving forward with the idea, and we spoke with one of our big partners, Walt Disney World, and we started hiring some lighting techs that worked at Disney that were furloughed. And with those lighting techs, we found out that there were about 3 million lights in storage from Walt Disney World that would have been for the final year of Osborne, which didn't happen, obviously, because they wound up closing it to do the Galaxy's Edge. So we reached out to our Disney partners, and they said, absolutely, we'll sponsor. They donated all the lights and brought them here, brand new. Industrial strength lights, and the journey began. We had our lighting designer and our technical directors and huge staff of people start putting up the lights. In about 8 weeks, we became where we were. And along the way, we decided that we would showcase all the people that support Give Kids the World that we don't typically get to showcase and talk about. So 45 of our villas, but 52 of our partners came together, and they individually decorated their own villas and or did different areas within the village. So each villa has a theme based on one of our partners. So there's everything from Ripley's Believe It or Not to SeaWorld to Boston Market and Perkins and Chick-fil-A and iTech and
Orlando Soccer.
Yep. WWE, Orlando City Soccer, Mix 105.1, Nolan's Roofing, WFTV Channel 9, Stanley Steamer, Wonderworks. I'm certain I'm missing some Mears and Advent Health and Nemours. So all these villas did these really whimsical displays in their yards, and it gives people the opportunity to see all of the wonderful places that support Give Kids the World. And then even above that, I don't know if you guys had a chance to come into Town Hall, which is where I am now. Downstairs, Planet Hollywood took over our entryway to Town Hall, and they brought original movie.
We looked at Town Hall, but it didn't appear to be open for business, so we just looked at it.
Yeah, you'll have to come back. We'll have to get you guys back out here, because we have the original Turbo Man from Jingle All the Way. That has Arnold Schwarzenegger's face and everything. We have fire robe that Whitney Houston wore in Preacher's Wife. We have the sled from Jack Frost. We have the original Santa suit from Miracle on 34th Street. We have something from Scrooge, one of the tickets from the taxi cab. So there's all kinds of Planet Hollywood themed movie props, original movie props. So actually Turbo Man hangs right above you and you come in. Uh, and there are some other Jingle All the Way props as well. So there are all kinds of little additional touches that we have throughout the village. And then of course, the fun thing that you also get to do is we have free ice cream and hot chocolate included with your ticket, and you can enjoy that by the pool. But then also we have several COVID precautions. So masks are required everywhere except for the pool while you're eating and drinking.
And we saw people yelling at people and monitoring the situation. So there were a lot of volunteers there. So there are a lot of people maintaining the safety there. We were pretty pleased with that. And everyone was so kind, like people just saying hi and are you having a good night? And, you know, there were a lot of nice people there that we spoke with.
Yeah, and we try to keep that culture alive here. You hear enough of the bad stuff, so we try and make it fun and make sure it's safe. And it's a mile long over, we're an 84-acre resort, so you don't have to be near anybody if you don't want to be or need to be. There's plenty of room, and we kept our ticket capacity pretty low, so that way the number of people within the village are, everybody can spread out and be as
we were trying to come earlier, but those first few nights were sold out.
Right. So that's what I was going to say. So for those who are listening to the podcast now, you want to definitely have some urgency when you go and grab your tickets, because potentially you could want to go on a night that's already sold out. So highly recommend that you go and check it out. Where can they purchase tickets, Omar?
So they can go to givekidstheworld.org/lights, or even simplified more than that, gktw.org/lights. And you can look us up on Instagram at GKTW Village. Same thing on Twitter and also on Facebook. So you can get your tickets there, but you can also see a little sneak peek of what we're doing here with the lights. You can see photos and videos and things that we've done, so you get a good idea of what it is that we are doing here. There's a lot of really fun stuff to see.
So I have like one weird question. Well, it might not be weird. So if you have a family that comes for their Make-A-Wish trip, are they allowed to come back? Like if they want to just come back on their own, because they do enjoy, having someone to take care of all their special needs? Or is it only like just for your one-time wish trip?
That's actually a great question. You only get one wish, but you get alumni visits that you can do and you can schedule throughout the year. So you don't get to stay in the village, but you can come back and experience one of our nights. Usually people want to come back for Christmas because they can visit with Santa, they can have Christmas dinner, they can get a present from Santa on Thursdays and enjoy all the holiday festivities. But yes, you can come back. A lot of families, I don't know if you had a chance to go into our castle, but we have the Castle of Miracles has the ceiling covered in gold stars, and the kids write their names on them. So a lot of times parents will want to come back and see the stars and show other family members whether or not their child is with them still. And so yes, you can absolutely, they can come back and do those alumni visits and be a part of what we have, but they only get a limited number of those per year.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice option. So then do you build relationships with some of these children, or is it like they're not really there that long?
Oh, we do. It all depends on how much we interact with them. There are several families that I've become close personal friends with, and what is amazing is that several of the families wind up moving here. 3 or 4 of the families that I know of and I still talk to on a regular basis actually lived in different parts of the country and even of the world, and decided to move here because they wanted to be closer to the village. They wanted to continue to volunteer. They just feel like this amazing connection, and a lot of them have become our spokes families. So we use them. For instance, we were asked to be on the Kelly Clarkson show before the pandemic, and we were about to film, but we had some alumni families go out and they talk about things. When we have news stories specifically with this event, with other events that we do like Challenge for Hope and Over the Edge, we utilize those families to come out and tell the story of the village firsthand and how it changed their lives.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. So is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we get into our
Well, I think that we have notes here, but she's like not
I'm
asking
all
you
over
all
the
the
place.
questions that we have
Well,
on
we've
our
already covered those.
So
Time.
the last question about Night of a Million Lights is something that Steph and I had talked about while we were there. What is the possibility of it being a tradition? Obviously, you've already spoke to the fact that there's challenges when there's families there, on their wish trips. But what is the possibility of it somehow becoming a yearly tradition moving forward?
Well, when we first did it, we said that it was going to be a once in a lifetime thing and we were going to do it once. It probably will never be as big as it is now. But I will say that there have already been serious talks about what we're going to do next year and how we're going to make it different and make it just as exciting. One of those things would be, and no one knows this publicly, so you guys will have the first scoop on this, is we would do something similar to what Osborne did with the dancing lights back in our fairy tale forest. So that was one of the preliminary ideas for next year. It will come back in some capacity. We will be doing something else. And I think it will become a tradition, and maybe it'll be a little bit different every year. So we keep it fresh and keep people wanting to come back and seeing new things. So definitely, keep your eyes open for next year and see what we're doing on our social media. But it will be back in some way.
Well, that's cool. That's very.
I think it also
exciting.
will help raise awareness, since it is close to the public and it's, it's kind of set back in a weird area, past the Walmart. I don't think people probably know that much about it if they don't have, children or, anyone that they have known that has had a wish granted.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny. I think it was last week we were doing a bunch of last minute things until about 1 or 2 in the morning. And we're on golf carts moving things around. And we drive past our gate and there are people just standing there with their hands looking inside. And they're just oh, we're just looking. It's so beautiful. And they could only see a little portion because we don't really have the perimeter decorated, facing out to the road. It's all interior. But they could see, town hall, and they could see some of the bigger buildings and how they were covered in lights. And they were just peering in and, they couldn't wait for us to open so they could come. And so the neighbors that live, there's some neighborhoods around us. And they went out for a walk and saw. And now what's really cool, too, is one of the last minute additions that we had was this, all the lifts that we used to install the lights up high. In our parking lot, they took 2 of the lifts together, the bucket lifts, and they made this 6-story Christmas tree that you can see from almost from 192 if the trees weren't tall. That's how big it is.
It's tall.
So it really and that was a last minute idea from our lighting designers that were we have some lights left, let's do something else.
Yeah, that's the thing that we were commenting on as we're walking through. We were there's so much here to see and do, and everything is in lights. I didn't expect that so much would be lit up it's Osborne, Osborne lights. And we were saying, well, they didn't have to do that, and they didn't have to do that, but they did it. And so it's interesting to now have the insider look at, well, it's actually the Osborne lights that they had in storage, and you have designers that came in from Disney to help facilitate it. So now it kind of makes sense. It's oh, okay, well, that's why it's, the detail is there, and it's pretty incredible. It's not what I expected it to be, and it is definitely a world-class event and attraction for the holiday season. And it's one of those things where there's a lot of negative things that come out of the pandemic, but this is definitely it's kind of a twist of something that came out, because unfortunately there's a lot of kids not getting their wishes. But I think that just the awareness and what we can do to prepare for us to come out of the pandemic through, Night of a Million Lights is great. So.
Yeah, it's like our president, Pam, says, if there is some sort of silver lining in all of this, it's this event. It really is inspirational to come in and see a place like no other, where Universal and SeaWorld and Disney have come together in the same space, side by side. Perkins and Boston Market, who typically, they're rival restaurants, their villas are across the street from each other. They support us. They do all of our food year round, so that we can now thank them for doing that. But you can go out onto our mini golf course and see a volcano that Universal put in on top of the cave, and the searchlights, and all of the dinosaurs decorated, and there's 2 Disney villas, the Cinderella's Villa and Belle's Villa, in the back of the village, and the SeaWorld Villa, and all of these partners have come together.
You saw the Disney villas.
Yeah, we must have missed that.
We'll
get you back out here another night.
We were there for literally like 2.5 hours, and then it started to pour, so we just decided to leave. But we were there for a really long time.
Yeah, so now we really know, and inside the buildings too. We saw some of the buildings inside, but like that's what we're saying too. Like there's so much to see, and obviously we didn't see it all. So That's awesome. So we're gonna spin things around back on you, Omar, because we talked a lot about Night of a Million Lights and Give Kids the World. But we like to, when we have guests who, all of our guests generally live in Orlando, we want to know some of your favorite things about Orlando, and we kind of just do like a
little speed round
of kind of
like a quick
questions.
First comes to your mind.
About Orlando. So Stephanie's going to ask a few questions.
We forgot to ask you at the beginning. How long have you been in Orlando, and what brought you here?
So what brought me here is being born. I'm actually a native. I visited a lot of places, but nothing makes me as happy as Orlando. I love it.
So you're a native Orlandoian.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. We haven't run into too many of those in our podcast. Maybe like you might be like the 3rd or 4th.
Maybe even the 2nd.
Yeah,
possibly. Maybe the 1st.
So then all about it. You should be like a pro at this. What is your favorite Orlando restaurant?
That's hard.
Or one that you like to frequent often, or like your latest find, or...
I honestly don't know. I don't know. I'm stumped on that one. I don't know what my favorite one is. I've been to so many.
You're not really a foodie.
No, I am, but I'm easy to please, so it's hard to say. I like chains. I'm not picky. Like I like. I don't know. Let me think about that. I'll come back to that. That's a tough one. I don't know why it's so tough. I can't think of what my favorite is.
All right. Well, what's your favorite holiday event?
Well, can I add to the favorite holiday event? So obviously Night of a Million Lights, of course, that's a favorite holiday event. But let's also put from years past in terms of if we were not in a pandemic, what would be your favorite holiday event in Orlando?
Well, I love things with, I assume by holiday you mean, there goes the lights again. I assume you mean Christmas.
Sure.
Or the holiday season. So
Halloween
Halloween is my thing, as you know, because with Dina, we did all of the Halloween guide. I was her Halloween guide Orlando fill-in for this year. So really, I know all the things Halloween, from the Petrified Forest to Sir Henry's Haunted Trail. Those are probably my 2 favorite.
No, they're doing a Christmas event this year.
The Henry's, yeah, I saw the sign when I was there. I'll be visiting that too, as if I don't get enough lights from here, but gotta support the other places too.
Okay, so you're a Halloween guy.
Yeah, I mean, I love Christmas too, but Halloween is my number one.
Okay. And so what is your favorite Orlando attraction? It doesn't have to be a theme park, but like something that you would do and you would take visitors to Orlando to. It could be a park, or it could be attraction and park, but it doesn't have to be. It's not limited to just an attraction or a theme park.
This might be boring and not like an off the wall kind of thing, but Universal is my favorite. I have my annual pass there for almost 20 years. And actually, shameless plug, I'm doing a birthday campaign fundraiser for Give Kids the World, where I'm going to spend the day writing ET from open to close. For every $100 I raise, it's one more trip I've raised $1,100 so far. I'm trying to get to 1,500 because I feel like that's about where maybe I can do 15 in a day. I don't know if I have enough time for that.
Like for every single ride on the ride?
Yeah. So I'm trying to get, so I've raised $1,140 so far. So that's 11 rides on it.
Okay.
I'm going to try and pick, I don't know if I can do on my actual birthday because I don't know what time they close. I'm going to try and pick the day that they're open and closed the longest so I can do it. And I'll be like posting and doing live videos on my social media, writing.
Are you going to be wearing obnoxious birthday clothing?
Well, I went and got ET. I got an ET shirt. I've got ET socks, and I'm gonna wear as much ET stuff as possible. And I think it'll be fun. My coworker did "It's a Small World" for his birthday, and he raised a ton of money for Give Kids the World. So, so going back to your original answer, Universal is my favorite place.
That would be fun to do. We should do that.
That's a good outside of the box idea. That's a really good idea.
Yeah. So I'm hoping it's a slow day. My birthday's on a Sunday, so I might not do it on my birthday because I'm hoping that I can talk to the people there at the ride and just see if I can ride without getting off. Like if they'll just give me a row and I just never get off. I think that's more interesting. And I might be having a hard time sleeping because I'm going to be singing that song in my head.
I haven't been on an ET in so long.
I haven't been on ET since I was in high school. I mean,
oh, you guys are missing out.
So tell us for everyone who's listening now. Well, when's your birthday? When's your birthday? Or when do you think you're going to be doing it? What date?
So my birthday is November 29th. So next Sunday. So I'm thinking I'm thinking my best bet for like crowd wise might be the Monday, the 30th. Okay. The next day.
So this podcast will air before that happens. So people will still have time to, if they want to support you and help you with that fundraising. So where can they find your social media so they can?
My Facebook is public, and you can see my name here on the screen. You can find me there, and the fundraiser is there. It's me on the ET bike. You can see that. Actually, no, it's the one where ET's in the closet with the clothes, and then my profile picture is me on the ET bike. So I went out there and did the little photo op, so I had a way to promote this. So yeah, you can do that. And my Instagram is @the_Omar_show. With underscores in between the words, and I have a link there as well so people can donate. And I will say, like, even if people donate just $5, like that will add up. It doesn't have to be 100, but for every 100 is another ride. So it doesn't have to be $100 you donate, just even $5 is great.
And so we will put in the show notes Omar's last name because they won't see it because they won't be able to see it, but we will put it. Link. Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. We'll get the link, but in the show notes of this episode, they'll be able to click over to your Facebook. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And thank you for giving us more knowledge about Give Kids the World. And make sure you guys go and check out Night of a Million Lights. Really, it's a great experience, and it'll help you learn more about Give Kids the World as well. So, is there any final things you have to say?
I want to try something. I want to see if I can take you guys out on the balcony here.
Okay.
And do a little bit of a preview. I don't know how much you can see. You can definitely hear the music, and you can see the mushroom and volunteer services. And you can hear all the music, but this is just the avenue here, and you get just an idea of how bright and how many lights there are.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really bright.
Yeah.
Man, you get the office with the view.
Yeah, I'm in the boardroom, right? And then this is town hall. You can see it's completely covered, and you can see how they do that at the bottom with the PVC pipe.
Oh wow!
It's all covered, yeah. So a little sneak peek, see what it looks like from a hall.
And we saw some videos of Jody Benson singing there.
Yeah, we had her here for our media preview. She's a friend of mine that I met working in
Oh,
the
just a
convention.
friend, just Jody Benson, just a friend.
And so she'd been hearing from me for several years about Give Kids the World, and we had her come for the first time. She'd been doing things that we could, auction off, like she signed things and things like that. And we did an event with her in February, an evening with Jody Benson here at the Village, made like $25,000. And then
Wow.
when the pandemic happened, I started pulling together the different cast reunions. So we had her and all of the original voice princesses. So Irene Bedard, who's Pocahontas, Paige O'Hara, who's Belle, and Linda Larkin, who's Jasmine. And we did a Zoom that I hosted, and we talked to them, and fans were able to watch, and that raised $9,000. And then shortly after that, I also worked with John Morris, who is the voice of Andy from Toy Story. And we pulled together several cast members from Toy Story, John Ratzenberger, who is Ham, Laurie Metcalf, who's Andy's mom. We had Jody Benson, who's Barbie, and Jeff Garland, who was the unicorn. I can't remember the name of the unicorn. And then probably 3 or 4 other cast members, and we did a cast reunion, and that raised another $5,000 or $6,000. So yeah, she just has become such a great friend of the Village. And actually, we had her record over the PA, so she does the announcements in the Village during Night of a Million Lights and talks about Give Kids the World too while she was here. But she came out, she sang Part of Your World and then a Jingle Bells sing along, and she did a tour. We made a video of that, so she's a great supporter.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again so much for joining us, and make sure everyone who's listening, go check out Give Kids the World and Night of a Million Lights. And until next time, guys, bye.
Follow us on Instagram at Orlando Out of Context. Instagram is where you can connect and interact with us, as well as see photos and videos related to this week's episode.
Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and iHeartRadio.